but I missed something.
Could you check with Jody and see if there's anything else? Because
Yeah.
there were a few things she mentioned, but
Right.
she seemed like she had a list too.
I work with you, Jared. Then if that is in agreement with everyone, then I don't think there's much more we can do.
Well, my next question then is when are we gonna get back together to review this?
Probably January.
Is it January?
January meeting.
Okay. So in other words, if any of us have anything we think we should be reviewing, we should submit it to you?
Yeah.
Gary?
Should I- Did everybody have the maps?
There's another
Yes.
I made bigger
Article
copies if
five,
anybody wanted to see them.
Article 6, mobile home parks,
Article 6 apparently too.
Yeah,
development.
that was the other one.
Mobile home
Yeah.
park
'Cause I was looking
development.
to see if there was
Yeah.
another one.
Article 6 in zoning regulation or?
Yeah,
General
look on
regulation.
page 9 of your,
DZ?
everywhere you
We'll
see.
call this the DZO from now on.
That's fine. Everywhere you see where it talks about an article of the
Yeah.
township code, that's what she's saying. Down on the very bottom,
Mobile home
under,
parks?
yeah, under A, to what?
Read the whole thing like that.
No,
I don't think
there's no town ordinance against sound.
Okay.
Hey Keith,
Yes.
I think there was some discussion of one of the former meetings also, that in referencing that to the code book, that where the zoning addresses the code book, that everybody's code book, A, either everybody didn't have a code book, B, that everybody's code book wasn't the same, C, everybody's code book was outdated, and that you need to go through and clean up what you had first, and then get the code books together, and get everybody on the same page, so they're looking at the same thing before you do
Yeah,
it. I
because
believe that was a
actually,
discussion before
A lot of
we.
these people.
That's kind of on
Makes
this
sense,
line,
but-
and that's kind of
Well-
like, it's,
Yeah, because Kathy purchased the code book and Mike purchased the code book, and they're both number 2s,
Yeah, mine's number 2 also.
and she's number 2. Like, they're all the same code book. I always thought code books had to be numbered consecutively so that they knew how many were out there. That was my, I don't.
But we're
I
not
don't know.
sure if our code book matches your code book.
Yeah,
Well,
because
the
mine's
other
not
thing
bound.
is, I've been given other ordinances periodically that,
Are not in there.
no, so I don't
Yeah.
know what is current.
This code
anyway,
book was
so.
last updated 2004. Is that the last update?
Probably.
So there may be ordinances that have been adopted that are not in there,
There's many.
and this needs to be
That's why I
updated.
have all this stuff. But I can't tell you what ones I have.
Yeah.
Gary, I have a question. Like, we purchased one and it's it's like a
That's why they-
binder.
That's why they changed it, so that you could start putting the new ones
Okay,
in
I
the
just was
ring
that,
binder.
yeah.
Cause that bound when.
Yeah, this-
When we
We
got.
can't add anything.
Well, not only that, but the pages in it are out of order.
I noticed that too.
I think I had one like
I
upside
mean, I
down.
just, you
No,
know.
yeah, no, that's
yeah,
why
it
they
was-
switched to the ring, but I
Okay,
think that was just this year,
Yeah.
really recently.
The
I
binder,
didn't
this
know
thing
that
that-
you were running.
You could be looking at $20,000.
You were here.
yeah, I was like,
And they have no
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah. But then you got the ring,
Yeah.
so that you
Yeah,
can't
it's a
update them.
big
But I
expense.
think
to
it's
do.
They could
There's
also just
also
update them
number
electronically.
two.
Like, why would you use an electronic file and you just add it to an electronic file?
So we probably need to do a compilation of all the ordinances, just to see what's missing, so that we have a
Okay.
list of all ordinances.
It's very easy.
We have to start here in the office.
It's very easy.
If she has filing cabinets, they might read if they're not in.
but Jared, if you've been gathering.
Do you have all the
This
ordinances?
is-
Yeah,
that
Tammy
needs to
has
be
them all, but now in a
cross-checked
ring
or-
binder, because that was the issue we were
Make-
having, is
make
there's
sure
loose
that-
ones floating around, they switched to a ring.
So her binder has more than this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, this,
It
like I
will
said,
be
a
a
lot of
ring.
this is like other ordinances I've been given, but I haven't given any for a long time, so, you know, I'm sure I don't have nearly
All right.
everything.
She has, Tammy has all that. Yeah, that should be hard to get there.
That's what I'm
Well, but we
saying.
need to identify the book that's operative. There's, you can't have all these books floating around and they're different.
well,
Right,
and
correct.
I question that because the ordinance book that I have, some of the ordinances that were given to my attorney at one point are not in that book. So, and that book was just purchased at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
So again, you know, like I said, it just kind of, and I can't find it online, because, so it was just kind of one of those.
Well, that's a project that definitely needs to be updated.
So at that point, or at this point, that is a priority that has to be taken care of before we do anything else.
Well, just because a lot of our things
Mhm, they're
refer
referring
to
back to
it.
it. Mhm.
So you gotta make sure you're
Yeah,
current.
we gotta see what the proposed draft refers to in our code of ordinances. Because not all these ordinances are land use, just the land use ones.
Right, but we also need to
We'll
make.
pull that out, but
they're
we
up-
also need to do that as well.
And that they're up to date.
Well, but adult use is an inland use, it's separate, and so is the cell phone tower one.
No, that's a.
Yeah, but it's a land use.
Well, yeah, oh, I thought you meant they were just under the land use tab, okay.
Planning and zoning is land use only, it's not the whole ordinance.
Any other comments? Tony?
It's hanging there till we get through it, buddy.
Any further comments from our group tonight? Yes.
My name's Bob Wright. I have a question. I thought I understood this process, and now I'm not sure. If you go into the zoning and you get it to where you think as a board, you send it to who? You send it to the supervisors, correct? Okay, then it enters that 90-day period. If they send it on, does it then go into that 90-day?
But
The 90 days, they have 90 days to adopt the zoning ordinance after they've had a public hearing.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't mean they have to wait 90 days, but they have to take action within 90 days.
Okay. Now, when does it have to go to the county then?
After planning commission says, this is the draft that we're recommending, it then needs to go to the county.
Prior to it going to the,
Supervisors, right.
Okay.
It has to be at the county for what, 45 days? 45 days before they can have a hearing.
okay. So then it will it ever come back to the planning commission if anybody finds anything wrong with it, or there's enough people in the public saying, hey, this needs addressed and this needs addressed? When would it bounce back to them, or would it?
It wouldn't.
It would
That's gonna
get-
happen, their job is gonna happen now. The review, the comments, the recommendations, and then they will have a packaged proposed ordinance that they would recommend to the supervisors.
Okay.
That proposed ordinance goes to Washington County Planning, and then a hearing is scheduled.
Suppose at the hearing, there's a lot of things that nobody thought of. Who is going to change it then to bring it back in?
The supervisors would. They would say, they don't have to accept the draft that comes. Or they could accept it, and at the public hearing, points are raised that nobody's thought about, and the supervisor at that point said, well, let's change the section on non-conforming uses. And then they would reschedule a hearing on that issue.
Okay. So once it's passed from them, it's out of their hands for good then?
Well, the initial zoning ordinance is, but any time, let's assume that this zoning ordinance gets adopted down the road. Any change in that zoning ordinance that deals with land uses has to come before the planning commission before it can go back up.
Okay.
You know, let's say somebody says, listen, there's something we didn't think of. We need to, amend this zoning district to include this. The supervisors would say, listen, let's adopt or revise an ordinance, but it has to go in front of planning commission before they can adopt it.
Okay,
Always, all land uses have to come back to the planning commission, always.
okay. You made a statement there earlier about things that people didn't think of, like the prison part, and you said, well, they put a,
Like a catch-all?
yeah, like a catch-all, and you put it in one of the ones that the lowest, what is the lowest form of the four then? Is it agricultural?
No, it's
or is-
industrial. It would be the industrial district.
We don't have
Zone
one. Oh, yeah.
4, I believe.
so it catches right up along, we can put, okay.
Yeah, it's the zoning, zone 4 is where all the bad stuff that you don't want anywhere else is supposed to go.
Okay, that's right along the interstate, Route 40 and so forth, right? Right.
Yeah, it's, can you see that?
So it would, we're gonna show everybody our bad stuff. Okay, thank you.
Zone 4 is the orange.
I thought it was
Right.
gray.
Right.
No, this one says zone 4 is orange.
Oh,
Jeez, Lee.
oh, I don't know what the key. Yes, it is. Okay, sorry, I was putting the wrong thing. Here, and here, and there, and here. So it's West Alexander and then a couple other places. Can you see that?
That's like right off
It's the
highway.
salmon color.
It's where everybody can see it. We're not gonna stick it back somewhere, we're gonna put it,
Well, it's where it can be protected. That's why it is where it is. So there could be some sort of fire protection and safety in place of it.
Are we, okay, any further comment from our public here tonight? We kind of have a task ahead to some degree on getting to this. If there are no other issues or topics, I would entertain a motion with,
I second.
all in favor? Aye. Motion passed.
Hey, Gary, wait a second, this is your pen.
Like where it talks about, that it goes,